Hello and welcome to our first revision lesson. We're going to be looking at the first part of chapter 8, which is algebraic manipulation. Okay, firstly complete this do now task. So you're going to simplify these expressions by collecting the like terms. So write down the question as well as your answer and pause the video while you work through them. Okay, let's check the answers. So those are on the screen now, so pause the video to give yourself time to mark them. Okay, so we're going to be looking at each topic and I'll give you a little example and then you'll have some questions to do. So firstly, we're going to have a reminder of substitution. So we'll be given the values that we need to substitute. So in this instance, let A equal 5 and B equal -4. And we are going to work out the value of 2A plus B. The first thing to note and remember is that 2A, when a letter and a number are next to each other, same with two letters next to each other, we are multiplying. So this means 2 multiplied by A. So 2 multiplied by 5. Then we're adding -4. So be very careful when negatives are involved. So to simplify that, 2 times 5 becomes 10. Adding a negative is the same as subtracting. So we've got 10 take away 4, which is 6. You're going to have a go at these ones. So we've got the value of x is -2 and the value of y is equal to 3. So you're going to write down the expression to start with, your substitution, as well as your answer. So pause the video again while you work through these. Okay, the answers are going to be shown now. I'm also going to show you the working. So if you don't have the correct answer, you can see what the working should have been. So firstly, we get 1. On the second question, we'll get 5. On the third question, we also get 5. Remember to follow the rules of BIDMAS here. So you're doing the multiplication calculations before you're doing the addition calculations. Okay, number 4, we get -30. And number 5 is 40. Okay, the next thing to have a reminder of is some of those key definitions. So an expression, that is any combination of letters and numbers. So these do not include an equals. An equation, these contain an equals and at least one variable. So that'll be a letter where the value can change. For example, pi, although that's a letter, that represents the same number every time, so that is not a variable, that is a constant. So in an equation we have at least one variable and a value can be found for that variable. So this means it can be solved. Now a formula, these contain an equals and there is always more than one variable. And they will be rules for working things out. For example, we've looked at formulas for area. There are also formulas for things like taxi fares and many other things. Finally, an identity. Now these are true for all values, whether it's numerical or algebraic. Sometimes they'll be represented with the equals that has 3 lines. Now that won't always be there because you will need to recognise that these are identities. But if that symbol is there, then it is an identity. So you're going to match each of the following statements to the definitions. So those are the 4 keywords: expression, equation, formula and identity. So copy down each of these statements and then write next to it which of those 4 keywords they match up to. So pause the video while you do this. Okay, the first one then is an identity. It doesn't matter what order we add things, it is the same. So x plus y will give us the same answer as y plus x. It does not matter what value of x and y you choose. Therefore, it's an identity. It is always true. The second one is an expression. I always think these are easier to spot because they don't have an equals. Everything else does have an equals, so expressions are easier to recognise. The next one down is a formula. This could be a formula for a taxi fare. For example, C would be the cost is equal to 0.5, so if this was in pounds, so 50 pence times the number of miles plus £4 as your standing charge. It could be many other things. We're not given a context, but that is one example. The next one down is also a formula. You may recognise this from the volume chapter, and this is the volume of a sphere. Next is an equation. This could be solved to find a value for A. Next is an identity. So when we expand those brackets, we would get that expression on the right. So it doesn't matter what value we choose for A and B, that will always be true. Next is an equation we could solve to find a value for F. And finally, another expression. Okay, we're going to have a reminder of expanding single brackets. So we're going to expand 3t and then brackets 4, take away 2t. So a reminder that anything in front of a bracket is going to be multiplied by every term inside the bracket. So that means we're going to be doing 3t multiplied by 4, and we're also going to be doing 3t multiplied by negative 2t. Remember, when we're doing this, we need to attach the symbol that's in front of this term to it, so that the negative is part of that 2t. So we're going to have 12t from 3t multiplied by 4, and then 3t multiplied by negative 2t will give us negative 6t squared. So we have 12t take away 6t squared. Okay, 3 sets of questions for you here. You can choose one of those sections to do. You can do more than one if you like, but do at least one full section. Make sure you write down the question that you're starting with, any intermediate working that you might need, as well as the answer. So pause the video while you work through the questions. Okay, the answers for the bronze section, then the silver, then the gold. So pause the video to give yourself time to mark your work. Okay, well done. We're going to have a look at expanding 2 brackets now. So we'll look at 2 different examples, and we're going to look at 2 different methods. So firstly, expand 2x plus 5, x take away 4. Now we know from before that anything in front of a bracket needs to be multiplied by every term in the bracket. So what we've got is every term in the first bracket needs to be multiplied by every term in the second bracket. And there are 2 main methods that we use. In the lessons previously, we looked at 3 methods, but I'm just going to stick with the 2 most used methods. So the first method I'm going to recap is the FOIL method. So remember that this stands for first, so we'll be multiplying the first terms together. So 2x multiplied by x gives us that 2x squared. The O is the outer term, so that'll be 2x multiplied by negative 4 to give us negative 8x. The inside term, so that will be 5 times x, which will give us plus 5x. And L stands for the last terms, so 5 times negative 4, which is negative 20. Now you don't have to write it out like this. Those words, the first, outside, inside and last, are things that you can say to yourself in your head as you work it out, and you could just write down your answer like this. 2x squared take away 8x plus 5x take away 20. You're more than welcome to write down each bit if that is what is going to help you get this accurate. And then finally we need to collect our like terms. So that simplifies to 2x squared take away 3x take away 20. Our second method, we are going to be expanding 3y take away 7 and y plus 2. I'm going to show you the grid method, or sometimes called the box method. So we'll draw out the grid or the box, and in the top row we will have one of the brackets, so 3y and take away 7. Be very careful there if there is a subtraction in the bracket that you include that with the second part or the second term here. And then in the first column we're going to have the other bracket, so we're going to have y and we're going to have plus 2. And then we multiply in the grid. So we're going to have 3y multiplied by y to give 3y squared we're going to have negative 7 multiplied by y to give us negative 7y. We're going to have 3y multiplied by 2 to give us plus 6y. And we're going to have negative 7 multiplied by 2 to give us negative 14. Then again, we need to collect the like terms. The like terms here are the negative 7y and the plus 6y. And then we can write our answer. 3y squared, take away y, take away 14. So those are the two main methods that get used. So whichever method you prefer is the one you are going to be using. You're going to have a go at these questions. Like before, you can choose which level of question you complete, but you must complete at least one full level. You can do more than one level if you prefer, and you can do all of them if you want to. Okay, pause the video while you work through your questions. Okay, let's check the answers for the bronze. Now the silver. Now the gold. Pause the video to give yourself time to mark these. Okay, we're going to have a look and a reminder at expanding squares. So that is when we have one bracket that is squared. You must write the bracket twice. Otherwise, you are very likely to make mistakes. If we've got something squared, that is multiplied by itself. So x plus 7 squared means we are doing x plus 7 multiplied by x plus 7. And then we can use either the FOIL method or the grid method. I'm going to use FOIL and just write down what we get. So we've got x times x the first, the outside gives us 7x, the inside gives us 7x, and the last gives us 49. And then collect our like terms to give us x squared plus 14x plus 49. So you're going to have a go at these questions. Make sure you write down the question as it's written, write down the bracket twice, and then do your working. Okay, pause the video while you do these 4 questions. Okay, let's check those. We should have for question A, x squared plus 10x plus 25. For B, x squared take away 6x plus 9. For C, we have 4x squared plus 20x plus 25. And D, 9x squared take away 12x plus 4. Make sure you've got those marked. We're going to have a look at more than 2 brackets now, so more than 2 binomials. We've only looked up to 3, and that's all we're going to do again today, but the same principle could be applied to more than 3. So we're going to look at the example. We're going to expand x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3. So we're going to first of all not try and do this all in one go, because we will make mistakes, we will miss things out. So we're just going to focus on 2 brackets. Generally I stick with the first 2 because it seems the most logical. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to expand the first 2 brackets. Using FOIL, the first gives us the x squared, the outside gives us the 2x, inside 1x, and the last gives us 2. But I'm still got to multiply that by that 3rd bracket, which is why our notation is as it is. I'm going to collect like terms and simplify that first bracket. So I've now got x squared plus 3x plus 2. And I've still got the x plus 3. Now what we did when we learnt this topic was we used the grid method. You are more than welcome to use the FOIL method still, but it will need to be adapted because that first bracket now has 3 terms. So if you want to continue with that, you're more than welcome to, but I'm going to stick with the grid method. So my first bracket I'm going to write along the top, and my second bracket I'm writing down the side. And I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to get x cubed, then I'm going to get 3x squared, then 2x, 3x squared, 9x, and 6. And I must make sure I collect my like terms. So my like terms here, I'm going to have the 3x squared plus the 3x squared. I'm also going to have the 9x plus the 2x. So that is going to give us, when fully simplified, x cubed plus 6x squared plus 11x plus 6. You're going to have a go now. 4 questions for you here. make sure you write down your working and go very carefully to avoid mistakes. So pause the video while you work through these. Okay, let's check those answers. For the first one, we should have x cubed take away 7x take away 6. For B, we've got x cubed take away 4x squared plus x plus 6. Question C, we're going to have x cubed take away 12x squared plus 44x take away 48. And for question D, remember that first bracket was repeated, so you should have written that bracket out twice to make sure you avoid any mistakes. And then we get x cubed take away 8x squared plus 20x take away 16. Okay, well done if you got all of those. That's it for this revision lesson. We're going to continue this chapter in the next lesson, where we'll be looking at simple factorising, quadratic factorising, the difference of two squares, and rearranging formulae. Okay, goodbye for now.